Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome in. With any luck, you can hear us correctly, and you can also see all these stunning faces on my screen, which, everyone's so beautiful. I'm kind of nervous, but it's fine. It's fine. I will persevere. Welcome into the second ever Through Our Eyes live stream. This one is bonkers. It's a 10-hour-long extravaganza, all in the name of support for the charity Mermaids, who support gender non-conforming and trans youth in the UK and with information abroad as well. If you do want to donate, you will see above our heads we have a charity goal going there. We've already done 10%, and we've not even started, which is bananas. If you do want to donate, type in !donate, DONATE, into the chat. That will get you the links. My name is Paige, or Arthremis, whichever you prefer. The name is a mixture of arthritis, which I have, and Greek mythology, which I love. I am pansexual, I'm disabled and chronically ill. I am a horror streamer, and myself and Mouse Was Taken are your hosts for today. So, we will kick off introducing Mouse Was Taken. Hello, Mouse!
Hi.
How are you doing today, my darling?
Tired.
Yes, I'm absolutely feeling this. I don't have a coffee.
Mine is on its way.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Whoop, right, let me...
You know, sometimes when you're tired and you're chronically ill, you just need to Uber coffee instead of making it.
Yep, that's exactly what I did. That is exactly what I did. So, right, there we are. Audio levels seem to be sorted. I had to switch my entire stream setup from Streamlabs OBS to OBS Studio this morning, so I've just got a couple of little kinks to work out, but I think we're mostly there. So, Mouse, while I double check everything's working correctly, could you tell us your name and what your pronouns are?
So I'm Mouse, or Mouse Was Taken. I don't have a creative backstory to my name. The username Mouse was literally just not available. My pronouns are she, they, because a gender in this economy, really, who could?
Oh, crap. No wonder I'm in debt.
Who could?
Who could? And can you tell us a little bit about you?
So I'm gender fluid, and I'm also asexual, and I'm also pansexual because I have undiagnosed ADHD, and I can't make up my mind about anything. So I choose all of them.
Yep.
D, all of the above.
Yes, pretty much. I very much agree with that. So, why are you taking part and hosting today's discussion? Share as much or as little as you want to.
So Mermaids is actually a very special charity to me. When I was growing up, my friend came out to me as transgender. They had a really tough time of it. And they unfortunately passed when I was only 17. So raising money for charities that help transgender youth is very near and dear to me. So I asked Paige if I could help out. And also, I thought that it would be a really good time for Paige to actually talk about herself as well for once.
I do enough of that. I don't know what you've done. Awesome.
But yeah, so it's just it's something near and dear to me. I have never been straight for a minute of my life. You know, the straightest thing about me is my hair, and even that's with straighteners. It's naturally curly, so
only with the application of heat.
yeah. So yeah, I'm here. I'm queer, and I'm not going to stop talking about it.
Perfect. So, there we go. I did say get prepared for this question. I'm pretty sure nobody is. Tell us 3 fun facts about you.
3 fun facts about me. I don't know if they're fun
or distressing, possibly.
Do you want to hear about my childhood trauma?
Okay, right. That's a different stream, Mouse. That's a different stream.
No, okay. I used to be a competitive gymnast.
Awesome.
I had to stop being a competitive gymnast because I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which basically means everything moves a lot further than it should, which you would think would be a bonus in gymnastics. But it turns out if you land on a dislocated knee, you mess it up pretty bad. And I have a cat and a chinchilla.
Ah, I actually didn't know about the chinchilla.
Yep, he is called Diego. He was a rescue, and he is the fluffiest little thing ever. I'm very allergic to him. I still shove my face into his fur because it's so soft.
Okay, fair enough. Where can people find you online if they want to come and hang out?
So you can find me on Twitter as Mouse is Taken, because Mouse was taken was ironically taken. And you can find me on Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok as Mouse was taken.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much, Mouse. Now, the next guest we were going to go to is having a little bit of computer issues, so we'll be coming to them if they are able to get in later. That is the incredible Nivana. If you do type in !multi, M-U-L-T-I, into chat, you will find their channel as well. But we will then go straight to Dr. K. Ross, who is not expecting this. Hello, Kay.
Oh gosh, what's going on? Hello, where am I?
What day is it? Actually, that's a good point. What day is it? Oh, it's Saturday. Good. That would be a problem. Hello, Kay, my darling.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm
How's
good.
everyone?
I adore your shirt.
Thank you. I found it in the bottom of a drawer, all crinkled up. And I thought, yes, I do have some clothes which don't need washing today. Yeah.
Yes, there's definitely not a reason I'm wearing this giant cardigan. Now, could you start off by telling us your name and your screen name if you have one, and what your pronouns are? Although we can see them, which is helpful.
Indeed, indeed. So yes, my name is Kay. If you want to chat to me, please do just call me Kay. You don't need to call me Dr. K. Ross every time, folks. I don't have the whole title there as my usernames, just out of vanity and ego. It's just been an evolution of screen names over the time. Because, K is a short and common name. It's usually taken, like mouses, it seems. But yes. So you can find me on Twitter and on Twitch under Dr. K. Ross. But by day, I am a programmer for a video game company. By night, depending on what's going on, I'm also a programmer at a video game company. But when I can find time, I do like to stream. It's one of my favorite little hobbies. It's kept me social, and love doing it. And I can often be found streaming retro games or modern games or occasionally art streams. And the more important thing, however, is just having the chill and open discussions whilst I'm doing it. That's the main reason.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So, that's pretty much already told us a little bit about you, which is excellent. I love it when I don't have to ask more questions and can try and figure out why the closed CC is being weird. So, why are you taking part in today's discussion, apart from me asking you?
Right. Oh, so, I guess what I didn't mention was, the qualifications for being on this particular panel. So, yes, I do happen to be a trans woman. I'm also queer, and I'm demisexual. Now, that first point about me being trans, that is something that I struggled and didn't have help with growing up. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I could finally do something about it and deal with a lot of issues. And I would very much like those who were struggling like I did to have the support, which wasn't there for me at the time. And the Mermaids does a fantastic job and tries really hard, especially in the current environment. So it's an honor and a privilege to try and help out today.
Bro, thank you very much. And can you tell us 3 fun facts about you?
Oh, God, probably not, but I'll give it a shot.
Perfect.
So I once hit a guy with another guy at a pub in London. Is that fun?
That is fun. What?
It's okay. It was all consensual. What else?
We're going to need to dig into that one later. Wow.
I once competed at a national all martial arts competition in the States and came away with 3 trophies. I guess that's somewhat related to the fast.
I was going to say, that does explain hitting a guy with another guy.
and oh God, I once karaoke'd dancing with tears in your eyes so badly that it broke the karaoke machine.
Perfect. Those are very fun, and you literally made me cry laugh with that first one. And my eyeliner that I put on expertly is already leaking. Thank you, Kay.
Mission success.
Perfect. I mean, I've used the phrase beating a motherfucker with another motherfucker before, but I didn't think anyone had actually done it, so that's perfect. I'm very happy about that. All right. Where can people find you online if they want to come and hang out?
So, twitter.com/Dr. K. Ross, as is spelt or typed there, or twitch.tv, Dr. K. Ross. Those are my usual haunts. Instagram, same name, surprise, surprise. And I forget where else I am. Those are the main spots.
Perfect. And again, if you do want to come and check out this beautiful group of people, ! multi in the chat. That will give you everyone's links. Let's go to our very next guest, who is wonderful. They are a new addition to the stream, and I'm very excited to speak with them. They are actually highly recommended, which is very cool. Hello, Papa Bear.
Hello.
Hello, welcome in.
I didn't know I was highly recommended.
You were highly recommended. Yeah, like I spoke. I won't say who I spoke to, but I spoke to somebody, and they were.
I know who you talked to.
I know. I'm not gonna dox them just yet because they're actually going to be a special guest on a future stream.
Yeah.
But I spoke to somebody, and they were like, "I'd love to be in this, but I don't have great internet in the minute. But this person that I know and love and think is fucking amazing would be great. Can I send them to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So there we go. Very highly recommended. Hello, welcome in. So can you tell us your name and what your pronouns are?
So my name is Robert, but you can call me Papa Bear. And I use he, him, or anything respectful. Hey, bitch is great as long as you say it with respect.
Perfect. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, everyone. This eyeliner is going to go everywhere by the time we're like just. Whew. And can you tell us a little bit about you?
I live in New York City, so it's very early here. I have not yet had enough coffee.
I was going to say, yeah, that's going to be.
It's wonderful. I went to bed early last night. I'm excited to be here, so we're fine.
All right. Then.
My voice needs to catch up with the rest of me because it's not awake yet. But I live in New York City. I've born and raised in New York State, and I have been in the city for probably the last 13 years, and it's interesting how much my life has changed just growing up 40 miles outside of New York City and spending most of my life there, and then in my 30s moving closer to New York City and just how much it's changed.
Awesome.
And yeah, I mean, I can go on forever. I often say that as a child, my mother taught me to stand up for what I believed in. As a teenager, I got in trouble for it, and now I get paid for it.
Beautiful. I like everyone is nodding, so yeah, I think we all agree with that one. That's good. That is good to hear. Why are you taking part in today's discussion?
I mean, I think that's the crux of it, really. I've always been an advocate. I am queer, pansexual, HIV positive, body positive, sex positive. I think the biggest thing that made me really just become who I am is I was a big boy at a really early age, and I had never seen, I was 300 pounds by the time I was 13 years old, and I'd never seen a big gay boy, right? And so not seeing things, and this was in the early 90s, so just a very different world from today. And so I think that's how it started, and now everything I do is about creating space for LGBTQIA plus folks.
Awesome.
Everything I do.
It's good. I think we actually have a little bit of a question about that later, so I'm glad to hear that. And from everything I've seen, you're doing a wonderful job at it. So
Thank you.
yes, lovely. So can you tell us 3 fun facts about you?
3 fun facts. My favorite right now is that I live in New York City, but I live at the beach, which most people don't even know exists in New York City. And so I live in the borough of Queens, and I live 3 blocks from the Atlantic Ocean, like full-on beach, sand everywhere. And I'm about an hour from downtown Manhattan. So it is the best of both worlds. I absolutely love karaoke, and I miss it tremendously. not if it's not in a bar, it's not the same. And I can wail. And what else?
What's your favorite song to do at karaoke?
Favorite song to do at karaoke? I'm a torch song person, so Mark Anthony, My Baby You. I will serenade you. And final fun thing, I used to run a kinky organization that produced a street festival every year.
Oh, wow. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And where can people find you online if they want to come and hang out? Sorry, I'll let you drink eventually, but not yet.
Eventually I might, right? Sorry. I'm trying to wake myself up by drinking
That's
coffee.
all right, don't you worry.
Where can people find me? I think right now people can find... everybody probably has the Active Dreamer 78 on Twitter. Everywhere else, look for Papa Bear Podcast, at Papa Bear Podcast. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's new and exciting, so follow me. Because this is a new venture for myself, and I'm excited about it. So,
Awesome.
Papa Bear Podcast.
Bro, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And hello, Niv.
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry for the delay.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry. The second we saw your beautiful face, all worry went out the window, so I wouldn't worry at all. But we will get to you shortly, because we've got to put you to the back of the queue as punishment, I'm afraid. So.
Well, I'm okay with that.
But yes, thank you. I'm so glad you could join us. Welcome in, honey. Right, let us go to our next guest, who is also a new addition to the stream, and I'm very excited. Hi, Holly! Hello, Slinky Fishy.
Hello. Yes, I'm Holly. My pronouns, I go by any pronouns, again, which are respectful. I've very much come into my gender fluidity over the last 6 months. I am still a bit of an egg, a recently hatched egg, and I've only really started talking about it a lot more publicly in the last month, really. But yeah, I identify as kind of gay, pansexual, gender fluid, non-binary. Still sometimes identify as a woman. Lots of questioning happening.
Yep.
Still in a process of discovery of myself. But it's been very fun exploring myself. I think everything happening in the wider world and just being sat in a house a lot has led the way for lots of thinking. So, yeah.
Lots of introspection.
Indeed. Yeah, so when I'm not questioning all of the bits and pieces about myself, I am a video game producer. So I've been developing video games for nearly 10 years now. I've written QA or in production, worked on a few very cute little games, which I won't go into all of the details about, but yeah, I develop video games, and that's fun. And yeah, I really wanted to take part in today's discussion because, like, as I've mentioned, I'm like, I want to be able to like talk about myself a lot more, basically. Yeah, like I've kind of struggled with it in the past, and I want to shout about it a lot more, and I want to shout about it whilst raising money for charity. So, heck yeah.
Awesome. And we're very glad to have you, especially at such a time that you're still sort of discovering and on that journey, because we've talked to a lot of people who've come really far in their journeys, and it's really exciting to hear somebody's perspective who's still setting out on it. So, yes, thank you for joining us. I always say that people's time is a gift because you can't get it back, so it's incredibly valuable that you're sharing it with us today. So thank you. So... I love it when you get a consummate professional who just goes through all your questions, which is beautiful. But can you tell us 3 fun facts about you?
I'm going to have to start. I've been inspired by the number of people that have mentioned karaoke today. I miss it as well.
Mm-hmm.
My number one song, Smash Mouth, All Star.
Of course.
I've got a friend that I sing it with where we do one syllable each. So one does one syllable, one does the other, and we can do most of the song just by singing it like that. One day we'll end up recording it and sharing that that hell with the world. Today's not that day, but yeah, that's my number one. My number two is I can slackline, which is like tightrope walking, but
Oh,
very
wow.
badly. I like to fall over a lot. Yeah, the falling is part of the act. And also I'm trying to learn the banjo at the minute as well, which is very fun, but also really hard. Like,
That is excellent. I love that. Banjo is very cool because I was in a band once with a banjo player, and it was nobody else got anything done. It was just watching because it was just awesome. And
yeah, when you
yeah.
see someone getting into it, just like I'm just like I'm amazed. How can you do that? It's fantastic.
Absolutely no idea. And where can people find you online if they want to stay in touch after all this?
Ooh, so I am Slinky Fishy pretty much everywhere. So Twitter, Instagram. They're the main places really I am. I'm not in loads of different places.
Yep.
Twitter's my main hideaway.
Nice and easy then. And I believe in the chat, one of the lovely panelists who's going to be on later, Shanadin, actually put everybody into a Twitter list. So you'll be able to find Holly really easily on there, which is very helpful. Thank you so much, Shan. Very, very helpful. But yes, right. Thank you so much, Holly. Let's go on to our next guest, who's also had a cat constantly running around through their stream. Hello, my darling Vane.
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad, sweetie. How are you doing today?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous again.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry. It's a safe space, I think, for all of us, and we've got our mods already being incredible. So
Oh, completely. It's just the anxiety badger running rampant in my brain going, ah!
yes,
So,
honey badger or like regular badger.
Probably more regular badger. It's not quite as bitey today, thank God.
That's good. That's pretty good. If you lob some trash in the other direction, it might work. So
Amorca Trash Panda will eat anything.
all right. So let's just get started nice and simply. What's your name and what pronouns do you use?
Okay, I'm Vane Payne. I also go by Vane or Payne. I genuinely don't mind. My pronouns are she, her.
Fabulous. And what is your cat's name? Because they are so cute behind you right now.
This one is called Sushi. You'll see her mostly hanging around because I am her favourite human in the whole world and she will never leave me alone. Mito is usually just chilling out, usually on our bed because it's the world's biggest cat bed to her. So
I know that feeling. I do know that feeling. Yep, there's a number of people in the chat already screaming sushi, so I think that's fair.
she upstages me on stream. She's a little sod.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. There was, well, Titan just walked all over the front and then left when I didn't give him treats, so that's fun. So, can you tell us a little bit about you, Vane?
So I am a cis woman. Part of the reason why I wanted to, I'm already jumping ahead of the question, but it's because my brain is working backwards. I apologise.
Don't you worry.
But part of the reason why I wanted to join in today was because I'm a bi-pan woman, and I have in my mind, I came out quite late. I came out in my 20s, so that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to join in. So that's a teensy little bit about me. Otherwise, by day, because during the pandemic, I've been very fortunate to be able to keep my job. I'm a program manager, so basically, I herd all of the cats into and produce a thing, and then hand it over to someone, and go, ta-da! Here is your thing. Now, don't mess it up. But outside of that, I do also stream as a hobby. So for me, my stream is basically me trying to make a really open and welcome community for both LGBTQIA people and people who have mental health issues, because I also have PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder, and depression, because it's not a party if you don't have more than one diagnosis. So I also do a mental health stream once a week to let people kind of come decompress and chat about things that they might not necessarily feel like they can chat about otherwise.
Perfect. And yeah, they're lovely. I've lurked in a few of them, and it's always been a lovely environment, a good, safe, calm environment. Of course, when Sushi's not
trying to be the star of the show yet.
Exactly. And I do apologise to anyone who is hearing ridiculously loud alerts. I don't have alerts set up on this screen, so I don't know why it's making noise. So I'm going to have to poke Cassie later to figure out why it's making noise. But so, You've pretty much already answered the next question, which is handy. So, can you tell us 3 fun facts about you?
Oh, God. It's like, tell me something interesting about you. Am I actually interesting? I don't know. Okay. I usually go for weird facts. So I have 2 odd-sized feet.
Cool.
There's an entire size difference, which I didn't know until I was 18 because I had a car accident when I was younger, so they grew at different rates.
Right.
Because I got one foot crushed. So yeah, there we go. That's an odd one for you. I used to be a semi-professional photographer. I no longer do that now. I was going to relaunch my business last year, and then the Great Dumpster Fire of 2020 occurred.
Yes, the dumpster fire.
So that kind of has gone on the back burner a bit. And a third is I picked up resin art. So I can actually encapsulate things such as keepsakes. I'm just going to grab an example.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've got some pieces next to me, so I can actually encapsulate fresh flowers and things.
Oh, that's
Sorry, there's
so
a bit of reflection
cute.
on the resin. But those are actually some flowers from my mother's funeral last year. So it's this is why I keep them by me. So
That is super lovely. I will be back in a moment. I hear Kay smashing a dude with another. No, not that way. Kay hitting a dude with another dude completely fucked up my eyeliners. The part of my eye is just so itchy, so I'm just fixing that. We will get to that in a bit. But where can people find you online, Vane, if they want to come and hang out?
well, I'm Vane Payne on Twitch, also on Twitter, and also on Instagram is where I predominantly tend to hang out these days, social media wise. I don't feel like I'm quite down with the kids yet to have a TikTok, but I feel I'm also 20 years too old for it. I don't understand children.
Damn these young'uns. Honestly.
Whippersnappers.
Exactly. All right. Thank you very much. And last but not least at all, the incredible Niv. Hello, Niv.
Hi.
How are you doing today, darling?
I'm doing okay. I'm slowly calming down right now with a cup of coffee because I was a little bit stressed. Because I had my entire setup, my entire PC set up in my kitchen yesterday, and then today, this morning when I reassembled it, I had some trouble where some things, like at first it just wouldn't start, like it wouldn't boot and stuff like that. So it's all sorted out now, but I was a little stressed, and I'm feeling a big wave of relief and a nice feeling of coffee right now.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
it. So, while I finish fixing my face, can you tell us what your name is, how to pronounce it correctly, and what your pronouns
Absolutely.
are?
Yes, my name is Nivana. You can call me Niv. I really like being called Niv, but also most people forget or mess it up how to pronounce Nivana. And so everyone can say Niv, and it's just easy, and you can just go by that. And my pronouns are currently they, them, but they do change over time. Every now and then I might have different ones, but whenever they do change, I switch them up on all of my social platforms and all of my bios and everywhere, so you can usually rely on those.
Awesome. Excellent. So, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, I am on Twitch for 2 years now. I study psychology, postgrad, so I'm currently doing my master's. I have now worked almost 4 years in a psychiatry for children and teenagers to pay for my rent and my food.
Yep.
And but it is a very fulfilling and nice job. I have a cat, Keo, that people really, really do love. He's unfortunately not here right now, but that's because until just before I joined the stream, he was sleeping right here, and you could probably even see the cat hair through the terrible camera quality. Yeah, I'm the changing pronoun thing is because I'm gender fluid, non-binary, trans, but I am not transitioning, so I'm in the body that I was born in, and I will stay in it. I feel comfortable in it. I'm also pan, and I think those are like the main things. I'm vegan, which a lot of people often don't know or forget because I just don't talk about it much, but it's always nice when someone is also vegan, and then they're like, "What? You were vegan? I had no idea. That's so cool. Hi, fellow vegan." Because it seems like sometimes it can be difficult to find some other vegans online. Yeah, I think those are the main things right now.
Brilliant. And you pretty much already covered the next question, which is why you're taking part in today's discussion. So we'll get on to the next bit then of tell us 3 fun facts about you.
I think one fun fact is what occurred yesterday. Yesterday, I spent 9 hours baking the Animal Crossing first anniversary cake in my kitchen, which is why I had my entire setup there. And I didn't have Animal Crossing until this year, or didn't even have a Switch, and I didn't expect to like Animal Crossing very much. And then I got it, and now ever since, I don't think there has been a single day that I haven't played it. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun, but I'm an absolute amateur. I've never, I don't bake. I simply do not bake. I found out yesterday how fondant works, and I found 3 days before that out what fondant even is. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And another thing is that I grew up with loads of cats. We would have one cat in my childhood, and we would let it roam around free outside, and then it would come back pregnant, and it would have lots of babies, and we would keep one of those and give the others to people that wanted cats, right? Take care of them and all that. And then that new baby would also one day come home pregnant, and it wasn't breeding, but we just let them do whatever they wanted, and we took care of them. And then, so I think in my entirety of my childhood, including if you do count all of the cats that were born but then given away, I think I grew up taking care of 31 cats in total.
Excellent.
And I still have a cat, and I also have a cat allergy.
Good, fair enough. There seems to be a pretty common thread on this panel.
Yeah. And then I think the last thing is that I drink coffee every day. I love drinking coffee, but I really do hate the taste of coffee. I'm not a fan of coffee flavor, so I just drown it in milk. And that's it.
Perfect. Excellent. Fair enough. So it's more hot milk with just a dash of coffee.
Yeah, it's like 50% coffee and 50% milk, and then the coffee also has to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not always a huge fan of coffee, but I will have one with caramel, so that's
anything any syrup or sugar or any different flavoring makes it really good. Yeah.
Right. So, where can people find you online if they wanna come and hang out?
I would suggest going to nivana.com, because that is where I have all of my links. I am Nivana on pretty much every platform but Twitter. But Twitter, sadly, is my most important one outside of Twitch. So on Twitter, I am Nivana Plays, because Nivana was taken. But everywhere else, you should be able to find me as Nivana. And whenever there's something new, or for example, there's something like a merch store and you obviously don't know where to find that, all of that you can find on nivana.com.
Awesome. Very professional. I like it. Very good.
Makes it easier.
Well, thank you everyone for your fantastic introductions. There is one person we do need to introduce, and that's Mouse's cat. Mouse, who is your very handsome suitor there?
This is Salem.
Hi, Salem.
He was a stray, and in 2018, he just kind of moved into my house, and from then on, I had a cat.
Cool.
Come say hi.
Oh my goodness. That is a fluffy baby.
He's a very handsome boy.
Sorry, my cat's just walking around the floor yelling occasionally, so I don't know. But right, thank you everyone for the fantastic introductions. Are we ready to answer some of the questions that we've been sent by the public? I think so. All right, so the first question we have is, which forms of media do you think have good representations of LGBTQIA plus people, or media that you've enjoyed featuring LGBT people? And then if we start from the top and work our way around, so Kay, that means you go first. But actually, no, it means I go first. Lil Nas X's video yesterday for Montero was fucking astounding. And I loved it. It was so awesome to see, especially a black gay man just doing what he wanted to do, and even then writing on Twitter like, yes, I have an agenda, and that agenda is for everyone to leave me alone and let me do what I want to do, which, perfect, absolutely perfect. You should check out that video. He's lap dancing Satan. It's incredible. It's just what you need. Just what you need on a Saturday. But I think for me that's a fantastic, very, very recent representation that I think is very positive and really good. But how about UK?
Yeah, this is one of those where it's hard to pick the positive examples from the sheer waves of iffy ones. But I guess what I would say for my answer there is certain webcomics. People can't find the representation they want. They like their own comics. They make their own stories. They grow and they spread. And those are some of the things I've enjoyed the most. Now, I wish I spent a little more time than just this morning trying to prepare so I could hawk some. But, for example, questionable content comes to the top of my mind. That had a rocky start for maybe the first few years or so, but that has really grown into something representing various different topics, and usually pretty well. And so, well done, artist name who I forgot to look up this morning.
That is all right. We can take a look. You've been super busy this week, so don't you worry at all if you need a minute longer. We can always just chime in whenever somebody has something they want to say, and we can go from there if people want to take a bit longer to think about it. So,
yeah, and video games. So my profession now, you do get various indie titles where people have done a representation of the style, which I think, my opinion, is good, where a character just happens to be trans or gay or lesbian, and that is just part of who they are. It is not the focus of the story. Their coming out isn't the focus. Their trauma isn't the focus, which is where so much mainstream media goes. It's got to be about the torture porn, and that's, in my opinion, not great representation. You can make a good drama about it, but that tends to be all you see. But so then you get gotta say, it's usually indie titles who are just doing their own thing. They don't have the overlords describing what will sell and what won't. And they make the good representation. They put a character in representing themselves as someone else. And then you get the deluge of people from social media being very angry about it. But that tends to be where you see the good representation, when people get to make the content for themselves that they would like to see. The webcomic people, the video game makers, that's not.
So you definitely see more positive representation from people that are allowed to represent themselves, essentially,
Exactly.
and communities they are parts of.
Exactly.
Instead of whoever has the credit card. So, fair enough. 'Cause I remember we talked about Celeste last time. We had this conversation.
Yes. Now, I don't have all of the details on hand. I think so. I can't speak authoritarianly. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. That's the one. And where there were nods to the character just happens to be trans in that, and it's exploring their internal journey. I've still not finished it. I'm trying to find time. I've still not finished it, but it's.
I'll let you off.
Yeah, that was lovely to see. Though it turns out the person, or one of the people involved in it, came to terms with their own transness later on. Did a big coming out, and it was lovely to see. Again, a big pushback on social media, but that is a whole other topic.
I guess that's why we're doing things like we're doing today and raising for the mermaids. We have just had another dono as well, which has taken us over 10%, which is fantastic. So thank you, everybody. I will, when we have little breaks, call out some of the donos there. But the more we sort of bring LGBT people into the spotlight, but then allow them to just live and allow us to just be who we are, I think we're going to see a lot more positive representation, and eventually start seeing it come from the people with the money as well, hopefully, when it becomes far more the norm. There's still a lot of work to do, but it has come a long way, I think, when I've been looking into the history of, LGBT and what people have gone through, even in the last 30, 40 years. So it's starting to get there, a little. A little. But how about you, Mouse? Any cool, like, positive representations you can think of?
So I have a few actually.
Hey.
I actually have ideas for one question.
Oh my god.
Mostly because I did a sponsored stream for both of these games. And you can also go on Steam and play both of them for free. So I highly recommend doing that.
Oh, cool.
And this part isn't sponsored. So one is called Scarlet Hollow. It is a visual novel. It's horror themed.
Cool.
To do with like cryptozoology and stuff. And it's made by a team of LGBT creators. It's a couple. They are trans and non-binary, I believe. It's drawn by Abby Howard, who does a lot of graphic novel work. Her work is amazing. I love it so much. They have non-binary characters. They have trans characters. You can choose they, them pronouns if you want them as your character's pronouns.
It's cool.
Fantastic. It's the first game I ever backed on Kickstarter because I loved it that much. And you can play episode 1, which is the only episode finished right now, on Steam for free. And I highly recommend doing that. The characters are awesome. And another one is a game that I was sponsored to play as well, called Ascension. The game is 100% free on stream, on Steam, not on stream.
Yep.
And so, first off, 3 main characters. One of the main characters is non-binary, 1 female, 1 male. I've only gotten 1 ending so far because I've only played it through once so far, but each one has a different ending. And basically you're on this journey with them through like this like wilderness bit. And the ending I got was actually that one of the main characters is trans and they actually got to fully transition.
Oh.
But you don't know that about them until the end. You know, they go by their pronouns and that's all you know of them. So that's all you think of them. And then at the end, it's like, you know, they got to this thing. It's like a room and you get like a wish or something. And you don't know until then that they're not actually in the body that they want. And their wish is to, you know, transition their body. And it was just like really awesome because the whole thing is like the government is, you know, very like authoritarian, like think UK government right now. And they're like escaping that and stuff. And it was just like the entire story had like LGBT themes and stuff because you can romance like whichever pair of characters you want to romance. And it was just this nice little nod at the end that was like, oh, it was even deeper than I thought it was. Like I thought they were just trying to get away. So it's like the trauma is like part of the story, but it's not what the story is about. What the story is about is the recovery and the getting to where they wanted to be. And it was just a really beautiful story. And yeah, I recommend both of those games because they're free on Steam. And apart from that, Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn is ace pan, and no one can take that away from me.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
No one can take that away from me, okay? She flirts with everyone, but she doesn't want to sleep with anyone, and that is just me.
Gotcha.
So no one can take that away from me.
Perfect. I love it. What about you, Nev?
I think I have a couple, but I also have a question.
Yeah.
So a lot of these are just now mentioned and talked about. So if maybe it isn't too much effort, everyone who is suggesting specific ones, maybe you can send them to Paige, and Paige can send them like a list out to all of us, because I will definitely forget the ones that are mentioned right now, and some of those sound incredible, and I would definitely love to look into them, but if I don't have it written out, I will not remember.
Yeah, no, I completely
Yeah.
understand you.
and
And
everything for you.
we've got a few mods in the chat who I'm pretty sure will be happy to make a few notes for us if they can. If not, I can go back through and write them all down afterwards. Don't you worry.
That would be so lovely. Thank you so much. Okay, so the ones that came up into my mind were She-Ra, which is the absolute most gay show. It's for me on Netflix, and it's the gayest thing I have seen in my entire life, on all colors of the rainbow. There's a rainbow unicorn with a preferred name, and it really is. I had my community yell at me to watch it for a long time, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it eventually. And then I started watching it, and I'm now done with season 2, and I'm just binge watching it because it is really, really cute and super well done. And also the creators and like the person that draws it and stuff is part of the LGBTQ community, and it's amazing. Then I personally really enjoyed the game Dream Daddy, where it's not about trauma, and it's not made a big deal that the main person that you're playing is a gay dad, and you're dating other gay dads, and no one makes a fuss about it. It's just like any other dating simulation, but gay. And I love it. And it's beautifully done, super, super great, funny dialogues. The next one I'd say is The Housemaid, not The Housemaid, The Handmaiden, which is a Korean, very, very, very gay movie, which is like it's also like there is gayness in it, but it's the most plot twisty movie I've ever seen. So if you enjoy watching a movie and thinking, oh, I finally figured out what this movie is about, you will not. You will not until the very end. And it's a lot of fun to watch that. And then I think the last one is a game that I just recently heard of, that I don't think many people know. It's called The Office Type. And I found out about it because I backed up Coral Island on Kickstarter. Super excited to play Coral Island. But in Coral Island, all of the dateable people are very not androgynous or non-binary. They're all men or women, and they all look very stereotypical, and it is already nice LGBTQ representation, but I didn't feel represented at all. And anyone who wants to date non-binary people, or just a woman with short hair, like, that's not too much to ask, is it? And so I talked to people about it, and someone was like, hey, have you heard of The Office Type? And that basically is a dating simulator where you can pick a type of person or style, or just like, you know, different people, really, from different ethnicities and everything. And for every single one of them, you can choose if you want them to be femme or mask or non-binary. So every character in the game has a mask, a femme, and a non-binary version of them.
Oh, wow.
And it's super cool that this exists, and I don't understand why not more people know of it. And I think a lot of people would really enjoy that game.
I've never heard of that, but that does sound really cool.
Yeah, I just found out about it myself. Yeah.
Awesome. So is it another indie title?
Yeah, I assume so. It was described to me as Coral Island, but less elaborate, much more focused on the dating thing than any like farming or whatever. And yeah, then what I just told you about the non-binary characters and stuff, and you have like your shy ones, your very confident ones, your like colored hair, not colored hair, people with covered hair or uncovered hair. And it's just like very, very interesting to see what variety someone brought in, and also to not just bring in your one non-binary person that you can date for the quota, but like everyone can be non-binary. And one of the non-binary people in there, like a lot of them are stereotypical, quote unquote, but you also have a femme character that's just super buff, or you have a non-binary person that is a gigantic human, a little bit more mask presenting, but they are non-binary with a bald head and a beard. And I'm like, you don't see many non-binary people being represented like that. And that's really nice. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out myself as well, because that sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Wait,
It blew
can
me
I ask
away.
what it
Yeah.
was called again?
The Office type.
Okay.
Yes, definitely gonna have to check that one out. That sounds awesome. What about you, Papa Bear?
I've been racking my brain. Like I mean, for me, I think it's interesting too because like growing up, I'm a little bit older than some of you, a little bit. And so I think even just like really thinking, from my youth till now, and just watching sort of the progression of how much representation there is now versus then, and how much of a need there is to still grow and be better about all of that, because I think that for a long time it was the tropes and it was the trauma, as Kay said, like just always focusing on the negative aspects of identities. And so I was trying to think of like what I'm a binger when it comes to like TV and stuff. And so I think the thing that I've probably been the most excited about recently in terms of representation was two shows on Freeform that were actually, they're a spinoff. So The Fosters and Good Trouble. And they have wonderful character arcs for trans folks, for gay folks, but they lack representation in like people of color and issues. Like they got better towards the later seasons, but I think there's always something missing. But I think those are probably like the two things that I was probably the most excited about recently. But I think just the fact that we've gotten to a point where, because of social media, because of the way that the world is now, like we can call people into conversations and people are creating more fun stuff. So I'm excited about all of these games. I'm going to check them out. But yeah, I think those are probably like the two. I also agree about Lil Nas X's video yesterday. Like I was like, this is everything, because it's not just gay. It's kinky. It's in your face. Like there was no apologies, and I was all for it. So
yeah, it was just it was gratuitous, and it was sexy and incredible, because it wasn't there to shock anyone. It felt so genuine, and I think that's because it is. Like, he made a video that he wanted to make, where a dude who's also a snake comes and licks his dick, and then he rides a pole straight down to hell and nicks Satan's horns as, a metaphor for taking back his own demons and being who he wants to be. Like, he kills the devil after grinding on him. It's pretty cool. Oh, the cinematography was absolutely stunning. But just piggybacking off of what you said about TV, I brought up one last time as well, which I still... Every time I'm like, who are my favourite just gay characters? And The Umbrella Academy, I think, oh my God. Like, I'd never expected or thought about any of the characters being gay out of your main family of the Hargreaves. But Klaus, without trying to spoil too much for anyone who wants to see it, there's just a scene where Klaus has lost the love of his life, and his brother says to him, "Oh, she must have been a special girl." And Klaus just goes, "He was." Yeah. And his brother just looks at him and goes, "He must have been a special guy." And it was like, yes, that's all we needed. Like, yeah, cool, his brother assumed, but that's also because we're pretty sure Klaus has been with women before. Klaus is just a sort of a happy pansexual imp, and it does whatever he wants to do. And I just that moment where they just sort of looked at each other, and it was like, yeah, cool, that's how this is. It was, that made my heart sing. It was so sad that it was trauma, but it wasn't trauma baiting. It was a legit sad thing that had happened. But
and that's the thing, is like, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to just be human.
Yeah.
And recognize things and not everything is a over the top, like, oh my God, we have to like dig into this whole thing because of you've just disclosed something to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes disclosure is disclosure, and people are okay with it.
Yeah. And so yeah, definitely in terms of shows, it's still every time I remember that scene perfectly, and I have a lot of memory
Yeah.
issues, but I'm just like, every time I think of it, I'm just like, oh, that's what I
But
needed
that's
right that
and that's
moment.
the beauty of it, right? Like when those moments happen, they are memorable because we need them. They mean something to us, and so it lasts.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect, and I loved it. Thank you very much, Holly. What about you?
I need to unmute. I need to always remember that whenever I'm in a call.
It's all good.
Unmute. So, I wouldn't say that I have a set specific form of media that kind of has a good representation, because I feel like it's almost like spread throughout depending on the creator. So I've got a few different creators that I like really follow all of their work for. I'm very glad that She-Ra was mentioned, because I'm a big fan, big fan. I watched that at the start of the year, and as soon as I watched it, I was like, I want to watch it again. So I'm waiting until like the Easter weekend. I'm probably just gonna like binge watch it again. But one of the creators, Neil Stevenson, they released a webcomic in November last year called The Weight of Them, and it talks about his like not necessarily transition, but his use of any pronouns as well, which I really empathize with, and like related so much to, but also top surgery as well, and it's just a really interesting little webcomic that I just recommend for any gender fluid person, just anyone that's questioning as well. It's just a beautiful little webcomic. And Noel Stevenson has got it pinned as like on their Twitter, like ginger hazing. So good. And I'm gonna mention, just because it helped me with my sexuality a few years ago, but I think it's San Junipero, that episode of Black Mirror. Like,
Sorry, I stopped.
yeah.
I stopped with Black Mirror a little while ago. I'm trying to remember if I know that one or not.
So it's like I don't want to spoil too much of the episode, but it's two queer women in the episode. They're quite young. There's lots of twists and turns in it as well, but there's just a scene where they're at a nightclub and one of them touches the other one's leg, and just that moment I was like, so gay. I'm so gay. How did I not realize this has taken 27 years? Yeah. But yeah, that specific episode, I haven't watched all of the series of them, but just that episode, it just really resonated with me. But webcomics, I'd say webcomics for me. If there is one form of media, again, it's all about the creator. So for me, but another creator that I really like is someone called Dea Muniz, who on Instagram does a comic called Brutally Honest Comic. And they basically do lots of really cute web comics with their wife and dog, and it's just it's always like 4 panels. Yeah, it's cute. Whenever I see it on my feed, I'm like, oh, that's so gay. Oh, it's really cute. Yeah.
Anything that just makes you go, it's so gay, has always got me great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd say the last thing as well is there's certain folks within the acting sphere, but not necessarily within their films and their TV. You see the representation, but on their personal social media, I find following those accounts like really inspirational, like Elliot Page,
Yes.
Ruby Rose as well, another gender fluid, non-binary person. I love them.
Can I just say, Ruby Rose is the person that Troy knows full well. If the choice ever came up, I would leave him for them. That's like my pass.
Gotcha. I'll keep that in mind in case we ever meet them.
Yep.
Like we've got an offer here now.
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess yeah, that's really it for me.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, especially Twitter's a really good thing to bring up as well, because there are a lot of people. Obviously, when you're an actor, you play a role, and all those roles may not represent you as a person. But it is wonderful, I think, when an actor, especially somebody like Elliot Page, comes out and is just like, yeah, this is me. Done. Yeah, and I will say again, just me lording over fucking Umbrella Academy. I was astounded the second I turned it on, the first episode, to see that it said starring Elliot Page. That was it, and like that was like a day or so after their like coming out announcement and interview, and it was just done. No fanfare, no look at what we did, we're so good. It was just done, and I was just like, I'm immediately like, I don't know what the content's going to be, but I'm immediately invested because they've proven just from that they've at least thought about this person and who they are, and have just shown support immediately. Like, it didn't have to wait for 2 months and somebody say, hey, are you gonna do this? It was just done, and I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted to see. Niv, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yes, I'm gonna put the name in chat. They're on Instagram, and this is them, Obtuse Engel. I don't know how to pronounce it. Engel is the German word for angel, but they're a comic artist in English on Instagram, and they share their comics about their own journey as it goes on, and it started where in a way where I thought, okay, this is about them being trans and in a relationship and what it all comes with and insecurities and whatnot. And then they had so many back and forth and struggles with, am I trans? Am I not? Which gender am I even? Which pronouns do I want to go by? Why is this different every day? How people react, insecurities within the relationship. They also share stuff through the comic with therapy and a little bit of mental illness there, but also like therapy around helping them with anxiety because of gender stuff. And it's beautifully done. It's super authentic. It's super cute. And it is a journey. Like, no matter where on the LGBTQ path you are, no matter if you already found your journey for yourself or not, it is just super, super nice because they have so much struggle with where they want to go, or like what they're trying to find out about themselves, that I feel like there's been so much where anyone on the LGBTQ spectrum will probably find themselves somewhere on there. And yeah, I can really highly recommend them. They're super sweet.
Awesome. I'll definitely check that one out. And Osric, I'll take a moment before we get to Vane, just to say a massive thank you already to our incredible mods. Some of my mods are American and have gotten up at like 7 a.m. their time to come and help out today, and some of the other mods have already said, I'm gonna be here for about I don't think I can do the full 10 hours, but I'll be here for 9.5, and it's like please get water, and thank you all for bringing your time to help keep us safe and looked after and take notes and remind me of all the crap I've forgotten that I was meant to say. And thank you, mods, for being absolutely incredible. But yes, Osric, if you could write that down, that'd be great. So, cool, right. So, Vane, my darling, last but not least, do you have any ideas, around positive representations or representations you've liked?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, I know sometimes I live in my own little world some days, and most of the things that I find out I'm introduced to as opposed to kind of feeling, very smart and informed, unlike everyone else on the panel. So for me, kind of games-wise, I've always kind of liked the Dragon Age series, because it's just a case of you can your character can be who they want to be in terms of their orientation. So I always quite liked that. I just remember being furious that my character couldn't sleep with Morrigan because she was straight. It was just like, damn it, I wanted that achievement as well. Plus Morrigan is hot.
Time for another playthrough.
But in terms of kind of TV, I've been watching a lot of Steven Universe because sorry, was it Niv mentioned She-Ra before? I'm really bad. I've yet to watch She-Ra. I know everyone raves about it, and it's definitely on my to-watch list. But like, I really love Steven Universe because part of it is they don't really kind of necessarily talk about the gems gender or orientation, but particularly Garnet as a character is a fusion between two gems who love each other. And part of the reason why that particular series, where you find out why they're together, or that they're actually a fusion of two entities as one, is why Netflix don't currently have that season. Because apparently some people who are more right-leaning didn't like it, so Netflix removed it. So I was kind of like, makes me want to watch it all the more.
I hate to see that Netflix take that.
Yeah.
Like that they take that down. Why would they listen to those people?
I'm not quite sure. And then I think there was some contractual issues. But yeah, initially I think they kind of listened to right-wing America and just went, okay, we'll remove it. And it's just like, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, the actual cartoon itself is a really nice representation about kind of, love and, gems and people being together and being able to kind of like grow together and fuse and become one and whole through their love for each other. So that's quite cute. Otherwise, it's a couple of years old now, but I really liked Pose. And Pose for me, sorry, I forgot to mention as well, the writer for Steven Universe is non-binary, I believe, Rebecca Sugar. But yeah, Pose for me was quite good because the cast, the stories kind of ballroom culture in 80s, 90s New York, I believe. And so whilst, yes, it's a dramatization of kind of that culture and that era, it kind of goes into the HIV kind of issues before there were suitable treatments. Kind of linking into that is sex work for the trans characters. And also for me, it was really quite good in terms of representation for the characters, but also the cast, because a lot of the characters who are trans are actually played by trans and non-binary actors. So I really liked that. And then again, kind of following them on social media such as Twitter is really good because obviously, they're championing themselves and their communities, and it's just really lovely to see.
That does sound awesome. And I mean, Papa Bear is from New York, and so I'm just like seeing so much headbanging.
I mean, like it gives me life. It gives me life to just, some of my most favorite people that I love are trans and not binary, and ballroom culture. The ballroom culture is still alive today. And so just to see the representation, and it's done fairly well. I have issues with Ryan Murphy and the work that he does, but this is heavily influenced by Janet Mock, who I know and love, and just like it's just such an amazing opportunity for the community both to watch and to be a part of. So I think it's amazing.
Awesome. So before we go on to the next question, Mouse, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, I literally, I can't believe I forgot this one. Because I had a really good representation for me specifically. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I'm on the ace spectrum, I'm asexual. And obviously, every ace person is different. For me, I don't care about sex. I'm not someone that's repulsed by it, but I also don't care about it enough to bother putting any effort in.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And growing up, I'm an only child, and I don't know about anyone else here. I had a really good relationship with my parents, but I was not going to talk to them about that sort of stuff growing up. I wasn't going to go to my mom and say, "Hey, mom, is it weird that I don't want to have sex with people?" Because, you know, that's an awkward conversation to have with your parents when you're like 14 years old. But it was around that time that like a lot of my friends and stuff started like talking about it, and you know, and I always felt like I was really like weird and like there was something wrong with me because I didn't want to. Um, and the first show that I actually watched, that I basically saw my childhood in, was Sex Education on Netflix, because the main character in that is like very clearly on the ace spectrum, and he like does all of this stuff to try and make his mum think that he's actually having sex because his mum's a sex therapist. So she makes him feel like it's really weird that he's not having it. And I was just like, that's how I felt growing up. Like, that's exactly how I felt growing up. I thought I would mention it. They have gay representation and stuff as well, but for me, the ace like representation was what I was missing. Because you know, I feel like it's part of the LGBT community. I feel like because I'm ace and because I'm pan and because I'm in a hetero presenting relationship, even though it's not a hetero relationship, sometimes you feel kind of like you're not part of the community. I think anyone that's in a hetero presenting relationship can understand that feeling where you feel like, oh, do I actually belong here? Is this my community?
Yeah.
So seeing like ace representation in media was like just really cool for me.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet either, but it's one I need to check out. So
It's so good.
right, what we're going to do is we're going to get on to the next question, and I'm going to take a quick couple of minutes break because I forgot to take any painkillers this morning. So I will do that while we're all chatting, because Mouse is my co-host. So Mouse, I shall pass the reins to you for a moment once we've got the question going. But the next question is, what was the response to you coming out in whatever way, shape or form that took? How did you handle the response you received, and what advice would you give to anyone going through a similar situation that you have? And then whoever wants to chime in can chime in, and I shall take a moment to quickly go and get some medication.
I can start making words and see where it goes. Yeah. So, on the whole, I mean, I was quite fortunate on the whole, in that my fear way outweighed the reality of coming out to various people. But that fear is quite important. Where did that come from? You know, decades of growing up in a society where it's either seen shameful or weak or too difficult or disappointing. That is a weight and a pressure and a pain of itself. However, my personal experience, thankfully, coming out, people are a lot more understanding and open. Some people did need educating. And so it is an absolute pain, and it shouldn't have to be the thing. But these things we're talking about today are not always well talked about in schools or by parents to kids. It's not always well known. And there's a lot of stigma and misinformation and historic damage, especially. I don't want to rail against comedians for being comedians, but some jokes do not age well and have become part of the problem, and they're now part of the zeitgeist. And yeah, you've got to be, unfortunately, prepared to talk about that and let people know how it actually is, how you're actually a person, and these stereotypes and tropes are not quite right. But yeah, thankfully, most people who I told about the various aspects of myself have been very supportive, understanding, or just not questioning. The closer the person was to me, the harder it was to tell them, because there's more of the, I suspect I'm going to disappoint or hurt them. And however, what I found is, depending on your relationship with the person, that they're more hurt often, or in my case, they were more hurt by them finding out I was scared of them finding out. And they found that more insulting than the whole thing of coming out. So, yeah, it's a Band-Aid and it needs ripping off. And once you get that weight off your shoulders, once you get that there's this barrier between me and the people I love, or this barrier between me and life. Once you get rid of it, things just feel so different. There's fewer things to be anxious about, and it can make all the difference. So if it's safe to do so, and you are in the right spot to do so, I do encourage it. Don't know if I had any other good notes on that, other than whilst on the whole people were good and accepting and fantastic, there were some folks who decided for me that this wasn't right for me. No, I just got it wrong. No, you're just overthinking it. And for some people, it can take a little while. You got to decide for yourself how much effort you're willing to put in. In my case, some people came around and got through this. In some cases, I just had to cut them out of my life. And it's a sad thing, but sometimes necessary. I think that covers most of the stuff.
No, I mean, you're completely right. It's probably one of the scariest things that a lot of us will have had to do, because it's one thing if complete strangers don't accept you. It's a completely different thing if it's, people that you love and care about. I didn't come out to my parents until last year. And I don't mean like I never officially came out to them. I just kind of showed up with partners of various genders, and they that was it. And then last year I was talking and I was like, do my parents even know I'm gay? So I called and I was like, oh, hey, by the way, did you know that I wasn't straight? And my mom was just like, I knew from the time you were 9 years old that you weren't going to be straight because you kept talking about how you wanted to marry Dark Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I had a really good relationship with my parents growing up. So I think a big part of me not officially coming out to them wasn't that I was scared to. It was just that they never made me feel like I had to, because I would show up and I'd be like, oh yeah, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend, this is my partner. They use they them pronouns. Or I dated someone who was actually my best friend, and while we were dating, they transitioned. So I went from having a boyfriend to a girlfriend, and my parents weren't even my parents were never of the I don't get it. So is he a girl now or anything like that? They were never anything like that. They just accepted it. And it wasn't an issue for me growing up. But I know that's not everyone's experience, because I got really lucky with my parents. And like I said, one of the reasons that I was able to make it, especially for my best friend growing up, they weren't so lucky.
Sorry to interrupt from the chat. Looks like the lost sound. Oh dear.
Let's just give it a moment until it's back before we continue.
OBS hates me. Don't worry, it should be back now.
Hello, can chat hear us?
Okay,
Okay.
they hear us now. Okay, I don't even know where I got to when we lost sound.
I have no idea how to fix this.
I think it was just a moment that they lost sound, so they probably like missed a sentence or something.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think
you
it's all
like-
good now.
Would you
but
like to add? Yeah.
But no, Niv, do you want to tell us your,
Sure.
or do you want to go later?
No, I'm all good. I think I got asked about my coming out like a day ago or two. So I have it quite like I already sorted it in my brain from then still. Well, I think the main thing for me was that finding out what I am took so long and like happened so late in my life that coming out was also like not much more or not that much of a big deal because I didn't have to do it in school, for example. So I didn't have to have that kind of peer pressure in that way, which made it much easier. And I also like didn't suffer through wanting to come out for years and years and years because I just didn't know myself. Which definitely helped, I think, personally. But yeah, like I think the first thing that I realized was when I was like, I think 25 or something, I realized that I was bi after having spent years in my favorite gay club making out with women. And I was like, yeah, everyone likes women, right? Like women are just hot. Everyone agrees and everyone likes women. That doesn't make me not straight, right? And yeah, so then one day I was like, damn, you really aren't straight. And it's not because I feared that, because I grew up in a family that is very open and not homophobic or anything like at all, and they're open in many aspects. It was just that for some reason I never questioned being straight. um so once I questioned it, it was very easy to get to, oh yeah, okay, I'm bi. And then just recently, like I switched that label for me to pan, but that's like besides the point. And then a year later after that, I found out that I'm gender fluid. And basically, I think I did my coming out mainly on social media and like telling my few IRL friends about it. But like one of my best and longest IRL friends has been with me in those gay clubs and seen me like, and we just never like they never questioned me or it or whatever. So it wasn't, that part wasn't difficult. I think the only real the only coming out that felt like coming out was telling my parents that I'm bi. And they, like my mom reacted with, oh, funny, I used to have an ex-boyfriend who was bi, and that was an interesting experience. And like that was the response kind of. And when I told them that I'm gender fluid, they didn't know what gender fluid means, and then I tried to explain it, and then they went, so does that change anything for us? Like, do we have to adjust anything how we are towards you? And since there are, for example, no gender neutral pronouns in German, I was like, nah, not really. And then they were like, yeah, okay, cool. And then it was a little, it felt a little bit as if they didn't care because they didn't have to adjust in any way, but it didn't feel like it quite clicked. And if I asked them now, I would kind of expect them to have just forgotten about it, since they were like, oh yeah, so I don't really have to change anything. And so that doesn't seem to be something that I have to remember. And that's a little sad. So I think to my parents, I'm still like, it's obviously a better response than them like kind of hating on it or not accepting it or anything. But I think to my parents, I'm still just like a woman that looks different every day, but a woman. And I'm their daughter, and they see me and they like call me their daughter, and I'm like, eh, eh. So yeah, I feel like that's the thing. And then the rest with the coming out on social media, also like coming out as non-binary and trans, there was, first of all, the bubble of social media that I'm in is the reason that I know about these terms and that I know what they mean. And they help me find out what I am by, for example, mentioning that gender fluid is a thing in the first place. So I wasn't afraid to come out as that, because thanks to Twitch, for example, I learned so much about LGBTQ. And then I came out, and I think I had, not too long ago, I had a tweet where I said I'm non-binary and trans, and it kind of blew up. And a lot of people saw it who didn't know me from before. And I think my main issue nowadays is that a lot of people assume that trans has to be transitioning either pre-transition or post-transition. And a lot of people posted or like commented on the tweet stuff like, "Oh, you look gorgeous. I can't wait for my transition." And I'm like, that, like, I'm trying to like kind of fight feeling like I'm not part of the trans community, and the trans community is super supportive about it. But everyone else who doesn't know that you don't have to be transitioning to be trans, there's just so much assumption, like really heavily. And it's the same in every media where I find representation. Every trans character will transition or has transitioned. And that's something where I'm like, it can feel a little bit discouraging, or like you kind of want to give up at some point and just be like, okay, I'm just not gonna carry this label anymore, because it doesn't feel like people understand, or like I constantly have to fight that assumption about me. And that is a little tiring, really. But that's like less about coming out and more about the educating aspect that Kay has already mentioned, which can just be so tiring and draining. Yeah, that's my story. Sorry, that went on a bit.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we can probably all agree on is the emotional labor that we have to go through to get everyone else to understand us is exhausting. And we have to do that for free.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
I will jump in for a second then, and hopefully everyone can hear me now that I think I've sorted out the audio issue. I'm so sorry that everyone had a bit of confusion there in the moment, but I will say I very much appreciate, again, all of you coming and sharing your time, which is the most valuable thing you can give to another person and to a community. Your time and your experience and everything you are saying and have said today is so valuable, and it warms my heart so much to see you all here and to know that you're giving up your weekends to come and educate people, because we do it for free. I'm not you bastard alert, but I'll fix that later. I'm not at the point where I can afford to pay people for their time, and I would absolutely love to be showering you in riches, but at the minute I literally can't. So everyone you're seeing here today is literally giving up their time and all for free just to help educate and to share. So thank you all so much.
The folks out there, don't shower me in riches, shower mermaids in riches.
That is a good
Donate.
point. We will have a quick little update before we carry on, because Mouse has been doing an incredible job. I have now taken painkillers, so thank you very much. We are at £422 raised so far, which is amazing. Incredible. Thank you all so much, including one of our sneaky panelists who has snuck their way over there. But thank you, everybody.
You can't hide your face from that.
Yeah, you can't hide from Discord. What are you doing? But again, thank you all so much. I'll stop bloviating for a moment so we can carry on. But I just wanted to take a moment to say I know that we're all doing this for free, and that having to constantly bring up journeys and experiences can be tiring, and it can be triggering, and it can be difficult. So again, thank you all for sharing.
And I just want one thing real quick, Paige. I did ask you earlier if you wanted to hear about my childhood trauma.
Oh, Mouse people have
You
a call
brought this on
later.
Okay, Papa Bear, do you want to tell us about your journey?
I was thinking about this because I think it's interesting how much it changes as you get older, and it it goes from coming out to just something as simple like we talk about it as disclosure, right? We disclose things about ourselves every day to different people. And I think I remember I was very lucky growing up. I, you know, I'm 43 years old and
No,
I
you're
have been out.
not.
Yes, I
Sorry.
am.
I don't believe it either.
There was a hashtag going on Twitter about proving your age.
I
Bullshit.
mean, I know. Good genes, good genes. That's all I can say. Um, but I've been out since I was 14, right? And so to be 43 and to have been out for 29 years, right? Like that journey is long. And I can remember the first conversation was with my mother, and it was not comfortable. I was not ready. She found something, and so the conversation happened well before I was ready for it to happen. But she was prepared. She did her homework. And I didn't know that she did that until I was a little bit older. And, you know, there was this whole process of we sat down on the couch, which was not a thing. I'm Latino, and everything happened in the kitchen. You got yelled at in the kitchen, things were thrown at you in the kitchen, like everything was in the kitchen. And I came home from school and she was sitting on the couch and she's like, "Come sit down." And I said, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble." And I sat as far away from her as I possibly could on the couch. And it turned into this whole conversation about how much she loved me and that she supported me. And then when I finally said, "Yes, I'm gay," there were rules. And I was like, there are rules? What do you mean there are rules? And she told me that if and when I had sex, I absolutely had to use a condom. That she would not tolerate drug or alcohol abuse, and that if I attempted to kill myself, she'd kill me. And so I was like, those are some really, really messed up rules. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And at 14, I was like, well, none of that's ever going to happen. And then as a senior in high school, I was 18 years old, working a paper for a class where I was writing about gay adoption because it wasn't a thing in the 90s. And I came across an article and I'm reading it. And it's top 3 issues with gay teens: unprotected sex, drug and alcohol abuse, teen suicide. And I'm sitting in the library in school and I'm bawling because I'm having this epiphany that my mother loves me because she read something that told her what to say to me when I was 14 years old. And I went home and I was like, "Oh my God, you love me. You really love me." She's like, "Of course I love you. What are you talking about?"
Oh.
And so it was this really beautiful moment. And then I heard stories from other people who were around me that were gay, and it was horrible. And I felt bad because I had this amazing story. And I experienced all this other stuff through my friends where it wasn't that. And so it's always been something that I've never forgotten and I've always cherished, and it really has made me. Today I work for an organization that supports LGBTQ survivors of violence. That is my day job. I'm the data guy, but I work with a team of people who support a 24-hour hotline, who are answering phone calls to support people who experience violence, right? And like, I would have never gotten from there to here if it weren't for my mother. And so I think that the disclosure is hard, the emotional labor is hard, but the opportunity to talk about it and for us to tell our stories is the thing that makes me keep doing it, because we need to hear each other talk about it so that we know that no matter how hard it is or how beautiful it is, that it's our experience and that we get to own it, and that it helps shape who we are. I don't know that any one of us would be where we are without the experiences that we've had. The good people, the bad people. I think that it's hard, but I think that it's important for us to talk about it so that we can learn and grow make it easier for other people.
I love that. That was beautiful. I kind of want to give your mom a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. She passed away 10 years ago, but yeah, she was an amazing woman.
She's gonna live
She
on
really
the
does seem it.
Yeah.
I have a slight segue question for you, just because something about your experience kind of lines up with mine, and just something you said. So something that I really struggled with, like in my teen years, and I don't know if maybe you did as well, having friends coming out that didn't have such good experiences. Did you feel guilty because you had a good experience? Because I carried so much guilt until I was in my probably mid-20s, because I thought that I wasn't, I want to say, because I wasn't traumatized enough. I have different trauma. We're not going to talk about that. But like, for me, that exact experience wasn't a traumatic thing. And for so many people that I grew up around, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely that resonated with me when you were talking about that. Like, I definitely felt guilty, and I think that that's a whole other thing in itself. And I think part of it too is we're just not. Now that I'm 40 and I'm thinking about it, like, we just have to believe people. Stop trying to impose any of our own thoughts, feelings, emotions, whatever it is. Like, just stop it. Let someone tell you their truth. Like, that's where I'm at today. Like, fuck everybody else. Oops, sorry, language.
No, that's fine.
But like,
it's still set to mature. Don't worry.
good, because like I'm starting a podcast, right? Papa Bear Podcast, and the whole point of my podcast is to fuck up the narrative, because it's always they say this. Who the fuck are they?
Mm-hmm.
Your lived experience is wonderful and beautiful, and you are who you are. And I want to honor that. And I want people to just stop saying that we have to be something or act a certain way, and just let us just be you. Like, that's my whole life, is just, I didn't start identifying into that as pansexual until maybe a year ago, because it wasn't a word that existed when I was a teenager. It wasn't something that I understood. It wasn't I mean, and even working in an organization where I'm for people and we talk about these things at length every day, all day, it was a journey, and we change and we grow and we evolve. And when we stop doing that, that's when there's a problem. And so I think nothing is more beautiful to me than seeing someone be themselves, seeing their passion, seeing them just be like. And so in order for that to happen, we have to stop, as people, as groups, as society, imposing our beliefs or our expectations on other people. Just let people be themselves. And it sounds reductive and minimalistic, but I think it's honestly just at the core of who I am. It's just, it is, I see you, I want to see you, and I believe you, and I hear you. And that's enough for me. And I just wish more people would do that.
Yeah, we don't need proof of somebody else's experiences to know that they've had them.
Yeah.
It's not a court case, it's somebody's life. Like, we don't need the evidence. Like, please don't submit photos, don't give me a written transcript. Just tell me. Like, that's all. That's fine.
And then on top of that, even if like as a psychologist, even if you have someone in therapy, let's say, and they're telling you their experience, and you might have proof that some things did happen, like on a factual level, differently than what they remember, what they experienced, how they perceived it, their lived truth is still what they're telling you, and what makes them them. And it doesn't matter if the light in the room was blue or gray or red or whatever. What they remember is what shapes them. And you have to listen and believe what they're telling, because how it was on a factual level is simply irrelevant to who you have in front of you as a human. So it doesn't really matter. And there are so many people, like, if you have like multiple people in the room that have all been in the same situation, you kind of have to like build the bridge across, or like for those different perceptions, because one person can obviously feel super invalidated if they perceive things differently, and you kind of, if you're the mediator in between, you kind of have to make sure everyone understands that their own perception of the truth or their reality is valid no matter what the room looked like. And that is often difficult to explain to the people that you're talking about. But if you have, quote unquote, the privilege to only talk to one person and to have a dialogue in a room with only one person, and you're not invalidating other people by just believing that truth, or you don't have any reason to question that truth whatsoever, then I think it doesn't sound difficult to me to just hear a human's truth and take it, because who do you think you are on a human level that you know better about what's going on in someone else's brain? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You aren't Professor X. Get out of my head. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you, Niv.
I always love hearing Niv's takes on these things, because you are actually a professional.
Yeah, it's just funny sometimes how oftentimes people think they, like, so many people try to make other people's lives what they want it to be to make it easier on them. And then you have so many like homophobic people, or people that say being gay is against God and whatnot, where they put so much energy into trying to change other people's reality because they struggle with accepting that other people are different for their own reality. And it really is a them problem. And they really like, I wish I could just tell everyone that it brings so much more peace of mind to yourself if you just fucking mind your own business. Like, I don't understand that. Like, it breaks my heart that they put themselves into so much trouble, and that they get so upset, and that they have so much aggression within themselves, or so much hate, when they really don't have to. Like, it's not their job to make sure the entire world is cis and hetero. And I don't know which cruel person went ahead and tried to make them think that it is, when it just kind of like takes over their entire life to hate on that. When I'm like, I can't even tell who you are. I want to know that person's truth as well. But if their entire identity is to try and go against queer people, then what the shit? What the fuck? Where's like, who are you if you take that away? Because those people also have hobbies, and those people also have favorite colors. And like, there's something behind that hating person that I, as a psychologist, I'm just like, I want to know every person's core, kind of, and see them as who they are without all of the stuff that society tells you you have to worry about, or you have to put around you as a shield or a wall, or like, almost like most people that end up in a hateful group of society, or like a hateful group outside of society, really, also, they usually end up in there because they want to belong. And someone's like, hey, you can belong to us. We just happen to hate these people, and you have to hate these people with us. And then they're in a bubble where no one questions that. And I'm like, think about these hundreds of thousands of individuals that could sit in this panel with us and tell us their amazing story if they hadn't been taken by these hateful people that are trying to like recruit people into their circles by manipulating them and taking away from who they are, and trying to tell them that their identity has to be about that hate. And it completely takes away what you mentioned, Papa Bear. This like minimalistic approach, I think, is just kind of like taking a rock and knowing that there's a gem inside of it in every single one of these rocks. And the minimalism is just very beautiful to me. And it's not a bad thing at all. It's just seeing everyone's core, and it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I've got just two really quick things I'd like to add before, because I noticed we've got 10 minutes left for this group, and I want to make sure I hear from everyone. But just from what Niv said, there were two things I wanted to say. Firstly, and this can be for good or for ill, but tradition is just peer pressure from the dead. So if your traditional values are hate, I'm sorry, because you've been taught fear. There's nothing wrong with the people you are hating, and I don't think, if you're hearing this, and this might sound a little out there, but let me get to my point first. If somebody's watching this right now and they are homophobic, I don't hate you, and I don't think you're a bad person. I don't think you've had an opportunity to learn. I think you've been raised, or you've learnt, or something's happened that's taught you fear. And there's so much time for you to look inside yourself and to think about it and to decide, is that right for you? Is that truly how you feel? If you've heard everyone's stories here today, are there any cracks in what you feel that maybe might be a little frightening, but something you could look at? Because being afraid doesn't make you a bad person, but sticking to those guns and deciding that no, my tradition, my feelings and my hates and my fears are all that exist, that does make you a dick. So
Yeah, being homophobic ain't a personality trait, darling.
no, but it's also not everything you have to be. So I applaud you if you're willing to take the time to listen and to learn and to try and address things within yourself that maybe you even know are like, I don't know why I feel this way, but I was taught to. Because I know a lot of people that have been taught to kind of be afraid because being gay is bad, and obviously I grew up when, I mean, I'm only turning 27 next month, but gay was the cool word when you were in school, and everything's gay, and it was like, okay, like, was that a fear thing? Yeah, it probably was. People were afraid of being gay because you weren't allowed to teach about it in schools, and so gay became a bad thing. It wasn't that gay people are bad, it's because people were frightened. You can always learn more and learn to manage your fear. That's the first thing I wanted to add. The second was on the religion subject. If you enjoy a bit of crass comedy, look up Tim Minchin's song The Good Book, which, if you've heard it, is... it goes into a lot of the... it just talks exactly about how the other things in the book, the good book of Christianity, are not so good. And being gay is definitely least among the sins listed in that book. When,
Also, fun fact, the word homosexual didn't exist in the Bible until the 60s.
Yeah.
That used to be a completely different word.
No, we can't talk about revisionism. Come on. Can't be spit facts. Anyway, but I just wanted to add those for a fun sort of poke at it with somebody who actually really does seem to know what they're talking about, and I respect immensely. Yeah, The Good Book by Tim Minchin, and also take the time to listen and learn and just address how you feel inside. That's the only thing I wanted to add. But who have we got up next?
I think we have the newest out person of our group.
Our freshly hatched egg.
Hey, hello. Well, my discovery with gender only came quite recently, but in terms of sexuality, I'd say in certain circles, I've been out for maybe 3 or 4 years. I was definitely in the closet for a long time and in denial from a very young age. So I feel like my coming out was kind of delayed from stuff that happened in my past. In the school playground, kiss chase, tried to kiss a girl, got called a lesbian, but got bullied for it, and I just kind of like went in. I was like, nope, I'm yeeting that into my future. So yeah, for a long time, I was in denial, and I ended up getting married to a man that I ended up being in that relationship for 9 years, and at the end of it, it was a really big self-discovery journey afterwards, where it was me watching an episode of Black Mirror, which was mentioned earlier in the stream. When I just had this big wave of emotion, like I could feel it in my chest when I watched it. I was just like, like my sister was sat in the room, and I was just like, I'm having this epiphany, and I didn't say anything to my sister at the time. I ended up coming out to her like maybe 6 months later, but it just felt right to, and I kind of went on a self discovery to try and find the right labels for me as well, which is something I'm still in the process of discovering. But I kind of came out in very, very small pockets within like my friend groups and my family as well. And I there's a part of me that when I came out, I was like, was that really the right label for me though? Like, how are they going to perceive that? I always was questioning as I was coming out as well, like how would I approach it if it changed in the future? And in the last 6 months, I've just realized that like I'm comfortable with that. If something, if I have a realization with my labels now, and like those labels, I end up saying like my pronouns. I have a preference towards these pronouns now, or anything along those lines, depending on how like my, how fluid I'm feeling, well, how fluid I am. Like I'll have that conversation with that person, and if they can't accept it, then I need to have a conversation with them about if you can't accept me for who I am, then I'm not sure if you should have such a presence in my life anymore. And I guess I didn't really have lots of negative like responses to my coming out, which was a really, it was really nice. But I think because I guess I was so like nervous about the idea of it. I did it in very, very small groups, usually like one on one, or I'd call somebody up and be like, goodbye. So I don't know. So I kind of felt almost in like control of the situation. So if I started to feel like really nervous about it or something, I can just be like, okay, abort, abort, or anything like that. So yeah, I guess yeah, that's kind of my coming out story. And in terms of advice that I'd give to anyone going through a similar situation, like I'd say to someone, like if someone came to me and said I'm feeling like this, I'm going in, I'm in this process of self discovery. I would always ask someone what feels right to them. What do they feel comfortable with? I I would say that I'm a huge people pleaser, and it's something that I'm like trying to like address within myself as well. So like if in the past, if I ever got into a situation like where I felt like I was losing a part of my identity to somebody else, um, I I would question it. Well, like now I question it. Like, why do I feel like I'm losing part of my identity to somebody else? And trying to figure out whenever I'm in that situation means that in future, if I'm going into a people pleasing situation and stuff, and I feel like I'm going to lose my identity, yeah, I'd talk around that kind of situation scenario, because I'd say that that's a big part of my coming out and why I felt like it took so long for me to come out. I was in those kind of situations. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I don't know.
No,
I feel quite strange talking. This is actually the first time that I've spoken about it publicly, so I feel really nervous and like I'm saying all the wrong words and all the right words. So
exactly what you've just said to us. If it feels right to you to say it, then say it. And thank you for sharing your story with us.
We're
Sorry,
proud of you.
my cat's just screamed. Ty. Stop.
I think the last one to share their story is the wonderful Vane.
Yippee. Yeah, so I kind of maybe in my mind I'm kind of wondering, do you ever stop coming out? There is kind of like the first jump you make, which is the biggest hurdle for you to get over, which is typically for a lot of people coming out to their family and their friends. But I've kind of noticed, like, I'm 34 now and I'm still coming out to people, which is
You're not 34.
I'm 34. I'm 35 this year. Kay and I are the same age. We used to go to school together. That's how we know each other. When we were tiny wee children. But yeah, so like I've noticed, like, even kind of in my 30s, I'm still coming out to colleagues. I'm still meeting new people, and kind of what we were all talking about before about being in hetero-presenting relationships. So I am married to a man. He is a cis man, and he is straight. That's him. He has always known about my orientation. It's never been an issue. Like, we were friends before we were a couple. It's just, that's who I am. That's who he is. But it's something kind of from my perspective that you always kind of have to explain to people on both in the community and outside of the community, because it's like, so you're straight then? No. So, but you're married to a man? Yeah. What? And it's like there's kind of lots of questions that some people then start trying to encroach on, like, so are you in an open relationship? And I'm like, I'm not, but is that any of your business? So you're bisexual, can you be monogamous? Yes. So there's lots of kind of other things that come with that. But for me, part of the initial journey of coming out was as much as I miss my mom now, and I respect that when I did finally come out to her, it was actually quite, I was quite privileged that she was accepting at the time. Initially, kind of when I started questioning around about 14, I was like, I don't think I'm interested in boys. Am I interested in girls? No. Right, which is it? And then kind of a few months, I remember a few months later, I kind of like remembered like my first love walked into the room and I was like, oh, who is this fine specimen of a man? I must know him. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I am interested in someone. And then a couple of years later, I was just like, ooh, who is this person? She's a fine specimen of a woman. Oh, hang on a minute. What's going on here? So I just remember kind of like it came from there. And then I remember kind of like when I was a little bit younger, I used to be really into watching So Graham Norton when he was kind of doing the comedy, slightly kind of sketchier side of his TV as opposed to his very presentable BBC current days. And I remember my mom going absolutely off on one, kind of going, why'd you watch this shit? It's disgusting. He's disgusting. He's a gay man. And I literally just kind of went, can you shut up, please? I'm trying to watch my show. And I mean, can anyone imagine me being a bit assertive about something and just kind of like, right, what's your problem then? Let's have it. Like, come on, let's have this conversation. What is your actual fucking problem? And I literally just laid down to her. I just went, because I've got a brother, and I just went, what would happen if me or him came home one day and turned around and said to you that we were gay? And she went, I don't know. And I went, no, tell me now. What would you do? And she went, well, I guess I'd still love you then because you're my children. I went, well, there you go. So why is it different if it's a man on the TV that you don't know? And she went, I suppose it's not. I'm like, right. And then that was kind of the end of the conversation at that point. So yeah, me kind of like first love, new people coming in, and then I kind of like, okay, so I'm not really kind of tied to gender, and it's only really kind of like in the past couple of years I've realised that pan's probably a more kind of suitable label as to how I kind of feel. But because pan didn't exist when I was in high school, I resonate more with bi. But I'm personally kind of attracted to people. I'm attracted to humans. That's me. But I didn't kind of really realise this properly and actually start coming out until I was about 23 when I was in uni, and I was a bit more comfortable with kind of getting to know people and dating people and hanging out in kind of the gay areas of Leeds where I went to uni. But I didn't actually properly come out to my mom until I was 27. And it was because I was living in Leeds and she was back in the Midlands where I'm from originally. It was kind of the, oh shit, I'm doing this. And at the time, this was when me and my other half started dating. So bless her, she was like, okay then, so what does that mean? And I went, it doesn't really mean anything. It means that I've previously had girlfriends and that I'm currently with my partner. And she went, but what does that mean for him? And I'm like, literally nothing. Here we are years down the line, we've gotten married, we're living together, we're doing all of the things you do with a partner. So bless her, like it was just kind of eventually I got to have the nice coming out story, and then as kind of other people said before, you end up feeling that guilt because you know that not everyone gets to have that nice moment with their family. I think if I'm gonna kind of give anyone any advice that's kind of going through questioning their orientation, their gender, and who they are, is just be unapologetically you. Don't hide yourself or minimize yourself for people, even if that's your blood family, because the people that care about you as you, no matter who you are or who you become, will show up for you. They don't care that you like sex or you don't like sex, you like men, you don't like women, that you're trans, that you're non-binary, you're gender fluid. They will just show up for you because they love you. So yeah, just be you, and if anyone wants to minimize you and stop your light from shining, they are not worth your time.
Perfect.
Exactly. It's a privilege to have, like, it's a privilege. It's still
Yeah.
too early for me. It's a privilege to be in someone's life. And if they can't accept you for who you are, then remove that. They don't get that privilege anymore. They don't have a right to be in your life.
Nope.
Yep.
I think Niv said that they would like to say a little bit of advice.
It's just a small thing that I wanted to add that I noticed. In my community, we have a lot of people that come in and ask or like say, hey, I'm about to come out to my family or my friends or in general or in my job or whatever. And I noticed how big of a difference it can make if you let someone know that you have got their back when they're doing that, and that they just, no matter if like their entire family and their entire current, let's say like IRL friend circle would react badly, that they don't end up alone because of this, that they have someone to come back to lean on their shoulder, to vent about how badly or well it went, to hype them up if it did go bad, if it did go well, that way around. And just like if you know anyone, it's less about like if you're the person that comes out, but also if you are the person that comes out and you have like one single friend that you know you're safe with and you can come out to, try and talk to them before and after you plan on coming out to other people where you're unsure, just so that you have like that safe haven that you can return to, because it can be so vulnerable making and so tiring or so upsetting. And it's just good if you have one person that can be your anchor to go back to, or one online community that you know where you're safe. That's all.
Yes, a support network is absolutely imperative as well. Like I'm yeah, sorry if I kind of like worded it like it's just cut everyone off. I just no, your support network is your absolute rock.
All right, so I'm afraid we
And
have
trust your gut. Just very trust your gut. Like it's really important. Like no one knows your situation better than you do.
Mhm.
And so you have to do it when you're ready, not when other people tell you to do it.
All right, hold on to those last thoughts for 1 second, because we have run over a tiny bit. We did also start a tiny bit late, and then we had all sorts of audio issues, so don't you worry, anybody. So, what I will ask, if anybody does have any last thoughts, I know there's been a couple of comments in the chat that some people wanted to respond to, and I would just like to, again, seeing as we have some lovely people watching, plug the fact we are doing a charity stream. And if you have thought, resonate with any of the stories we've told today and you would like to help people like us who are younger and hopefully are going to be growing up in a more accepting world but still need a hand, you can donate to the mermaids by typing !donate in chat, as the mods have just popped in there as well, because they are a charity who are there for youth and their families. But yes, so if we're going with last thoughts, Kay, do you want to start us off?
Sure thing. So, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. Thank you very much, everyone in chat, for listening. And thank you for everyone supporting Mermaids. You're all awesome. Thanks. Keep it up. You're amazing. I did want to answer a question somebody asked in chat on that last question about differences between coming out in academia and outside of it. Now, I didn't come out in academia. I did come out in the video game industry I joined afterwards, but it's the generalizations, the boxes aren't always reliable in nature. Boxes are not reliable in nature. It happened to be the field I was in, the university I was in, the place I was in was not a safe or as accepting an area. Physics, my brand of physics, is dominated by cishet old white men, as many industries are, and it's you go down the pub and you drink the ale and you stick to the stereotypes. Yeah. Don't break ranks. It wasn't safe for me there.
Yeah.
However, whilst it's not the same everywhere in the games industry, the place I work currently is incredibly accepting and open and chill and laid back. And that made all the difference for me, having a safe workplace to be in. I know not everyone can have that privilege. So academia, not academia, work or not, treat it as a collection of people, unique individual people, judge how safe you are or how comfortable you are talking about it. You control the speed of the information you divulge and the conditions and the situations.
Thank you very much, Kay. Mouse, I'm not going to ask you for last thoughts because you're on the next bit as well, so you don't get any. Anyway, Niv, my darling, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, there's one bit of thing that I didn't quite talk about, and that's that I am ace flux, and that's also something that I found out only when I heard the term the first time. And for everyone who doesn't know what that means, it basically means that you have episodes of time where you don't feel asexual, and then episodes of time where you do feel asexual, and it's very like intense, in my case, intense changes where that, like, my community knows that sometimes I will be incredibly horny for like weeks and weeks, and then there's times where I will simply not even bother about it or like care about it and let everyone else like go off and thirst and whatnot, and I will just be like, hey, thanks for the compliment, and I, like, not worry about it much more. And that's something that I haven't mentioned so far, just because I keep forgetting, because it's not there always, and it's not like a part of my identity that I have in mind all the time, which is nice because it's obviously not something that is troubling me, but it's also what is troubling me is the bit that I feel like I don't know everything there is to know about asexuality, because I feel like it is not talked about as much as almost any of the other LGBTQ topics. So while we're not going to talk about it much more within this group of people now, I just want to send out a request, a thank you to everyone who's been here, but also a request to do your homework and look it up and try to at least take off the emotional load from the asexual people to educate you on that. There are great resources out there, and if you read up on that, it helps you so much, because even like still the LGBTQ bubble of Twitter, for example, is still full of misconceptions about asexuality, and everyone stands up for gay people and whatnot, but not everyone stands up and says anything ever about asexuality. And that's just something where I wanted to like boost that bit a little bit more.
So I think
that's it.
I literally just had a fucking light bulb moment there when you explained what ace flux was, and was like, is that the term I've been looking for? Shit. Okay, right. Well, I'll add that one. I'll add that to the end of my name. There we are, sorted.
Yeah.
I just want to say to Niv that I love them for mentioning that, because it is actually like, for me, it's a big part of my identity, and I don't like that it's not talked about as much.
It really
so
is.
Thank you for talking about it.
Of course. Yeah. I basically like think that like I once found a really helpful graphic, and I have in my Discord server, I have like one channel that is just called Educate Yourself, where people can like educate each other on literally anything. And I just popped it in there and pinned it. And sometimes like I find myself going back to that pinned message every now and then and being like, okay, I have to like remember that this is this and this can be that. And especially since asexual is not so much one thing like we have in mind when we say, okay, someone is a lesbian, then it's much more defined than the asexual spectrum. And there's so much to know about. And you might think that, like, in my case, you might think that you don't belong on to that spectrum until you find out that you actually do, because it's such a wide spectrum. And that's why, or part of why, I send out that request, because I think that there are so much more people out there that may be on that spectrum and that may be interested in finding out more about it than they certainly, or that they than they currently know, because that was my experience. And it's the same like how I didn't know I wasn't straight until I started questioning it. So our journey is a lot about education. And if not enough people talk about asexuality, then we don't get that education. We just have to do that part of the work ourselves. And we also owe it to the people around there that don't get enough representation as being asexual.
I would just like to say thank you so much, and I just want to everyone here, to everyone chatting, and I just want to say it out loud because I think we all need to hear it all the time. But you are enough. We are enough. We don't have to define that for anybody else but ourselves, but we are enough.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hope the goal for mermaids is reached today as well. Please donate, everybody. There was one thing that I wanted to mention just about labels that was mentioned in the Twitch stream as well. Labels, I was so confused and like stuck on for such a long period of time. It's one of the reasons why fluidity felt the most comfortable for me. So yeah, like yeah, labels are a tool.
Brilliant.
Labels are a tool.
Thank you very much. And Vane, my darling, anything from you?
I just wanted to say thank you for having me again. I'm feeling like I'm suffering from imposter syndrome here with much smarter and more eloquent people than I. But also, yeah, thank you for chat, being here and joining in and listening to what we as a group have to say. And yes, please donate to mermaids because they are a very deserving charity.
Brilliant. Right. Thank you all so much for coming and spending your time. We could continue chatting all day, and I know we would, given half the chance, but we will go on to our second group so they don't have to wait any longer. Unfortunately, that was my my fault, so I will apologise profusely. But again, thank you all so much for your time and for your stories and everything. Anyone in the chat who does want to keep up with all of these beautiful people, type in !multi MULTI. That will give you links to everybody, and then you can go over and chat. But we will be back very soon with our second group. Yes, see you later.
Bye.